You've really outdone yourself, Trixie.
Quite. Let it never be said that the great and powerful counselor Trixie can't accommodate a guest from time to time.
Still hard to think this won't be my office anymore.
Well, since you have a much better office now, I'd say you'll get used to it. I spent a lot of time on the road, so I had a lot of free time to think of new teas to make. You'd be amazed at how much you can brew for yourself while traveling.
If what Twilight has taught me about Zecora's exploits are anything to go by, I think I can believe it. Oh, I should invite her over for a visit sometime. Get her in on this tea party one day. That is, once she actually has a free day.
Oh, I imagine her new role will keep her pretty busy. Ruling a whole country probably won't leave much time for breaks.
Except for her closest friends, of course.
Don't forget, Twilight does consider you one of her closest friends.
Thanks for saying so. But honestly, I'm not sure how much time I'll be having. I mean, I knew Twilight had a lot of work running this place, but I guess I just didn't know how much.
You're telling me? First day I took this job, I had a flood of kids coming in for help. Still, nice to know Trixie is some pony they think they can confide in. There was a time I'd have never thought of myself like that.
Preaching to the choir on that one, Trix. Go back a few years and I'd be the last person you'd want going near any children.
Well, here's to self-improvement.
Honestly, sometimes I think it's nothing short of a miracle that Twilight ever took me in like she did. All the things I did, and I still wound up as a friend to her.
Well, I guess if you're gonna be the ruler of all Equestria, it helps that you're something of a saint. Even if it does mean you end up befriending your deadliest nemesis.
Never been called that before. Not that you're wrong, of course.
Pardon Trixie for saying so, Starlight, but I was referring to myself.
You?
Yes, me! I'm Twilight's deadliest nemesis!
I'm sorry, Trixie, but you're not Twilight's nemesis. I don't know if you noticed, but she's had way bigger problems to deal with than you in her life.
Yes, big and apocalyptic monsters are national threats and all the rest of it. But I'm talking nemeses here, Starlight. Those you oppose or are opposed by are personal reasons. And as far as that category is concerned, no pony tops the great and powerful Trixie.
You sure? Because I don't want to sound like I'm bragging or anything, but I like to think I held my own in the Nemesis department.
Oh yeah? Trixie used an ancient artifact of dark magic to become all-powerful and force her out of her home, after which I enslaved said home and became a tyrannical dictator. Top that.
Well, I trapped her and her friends in my creepy cult, stole their cutie marks, then enacted a vengeance plot that almost brought about the destruction of the whole world.
Oh yes, very nice, but my crimes stung her far worse.
But how could you possibly think that taking over one single village can compare to nearly ending all life in the world?
Ha! I had forced Twilight to live in a swamp to wallow in feelings of helplessness while her friends were subject to my every whim.
Well, I had her feeling helpless when her friends were in a bad way too. Every timeline I sent her to had her friends in more and more peril.
Oh yes, that's definitely good. But you only opposed Twilight twice. I got to her 3 times.
3?
Yup. There was my initial humiliation of her during my first performance. There was my stint as a supervillain, of course. And finally we had that time I tried to get under her skin by convincing you to come to my show instead of her dinner. Not that I gloat about that last one, obviously, since it's a sore point in our long and very pleasant history as friends.
Even if I were to count that last one, it's no good to put quantity over quality. My time as a villain was far more devastating than yours, which makes me the bigger threat. Plus, I had that whole powerful unicorn who had no friends thing. You know, like some perversion of Twilight herself.
Ugh. Seriously? You're going for the dark reflection angle? That's so done and tired.
It's a classic. Besides, it's better than wanting revenge against some pony who didn't even wrong you to begin with.
I'll have you know that Twilight absolutely did wrong me. She drove me out of Ponyville and humiliated me.
Really? Because the way I heard it, you just willingly ran out of town before any pony actually did anything.
Well, yes, okay, that was how things went down, but they would have turned on me eventually. My story of fighting an Ursa Major was proved false, so Ponyville and Twilight would have driven me out.
But why? If anything, they'd be mad at Snips and Snails for letting the thing loose in the town. All you did was make up a story about it. No pony was forcing them to find a dangerous creature.
Hey, when has making sense ever stopped any pony from doing anything in this place?
Well, can't argue with that one. Actually, now that I think on it, Twilight seemed far less happy to see you than she was to see me back when you and I first met. I mean, I nearly wiped out all life in the world, yet she treated me as a close friend. But one look at you, and all of a sudden it's like her worst enemy had arrived.
Told ya. Top Nemesis right here.
Well, yeah, Twilight certainly acted that way.
Oh, don't let it bother you. It's actually not that uncommon for those mares to be kind of weird with their priorities like that.
What?
Oh, yes. Remember, Applejack is perfectly willing to be good friends with a guy like Discord, who, betrayed them about a dozen times. But she has this total blood feud against a couple of lowly con stallions like Flim and Flam. Bottom line, it's the small things that get under these mares' skins, not the big and dangerous stuff.
You know, I actually can't deny that.
Sorry to interrupt, but I suddenly remembered that I took these with me during my big move to Canterlot. They were supposed to stay here. Sorry if you were having trouble finding them.
Oh yes, we've been completely pulling our manes out looking for it.
Twilight?
Yes?
Who would you say is your nemesis?
Well, now that you mention it, there is one I consider to be my greatest enemy.
There is? Ooh, do tell!
It is one that has plagued me my whole life. One whose arrival marks great shame and trouble for me. One I wish I could be truly rid of, yet find myself having to deal with time and time again. A foe that, in the end, I may never overcome.
Yes? Who is it?
Oh, it's my moments of forgetfulness. You wouldn't believe how embarrassing it is for me to suddenly remember I've put something in the wrong place like this.
You know, what were we expecting?